I had to talk about a story that's very, very important. And
the professional sports landscape of 2024 and 2025 has been defined by a fundamental restructuring of the economic and cultural status of the WNBA. At the center of this transformation is Caitlin Clark, whose transition from a collegiate phenomenon at the University of Iowa to a global signature athlete with Nike has exposed significant gaps in the league's institutional maturity, officiating standards, and labor relations. This transition highlights a collision between high-value brand marketing and the volatile internal dynamics of a league struggling to reconcile its historical grit with the requirements of a modern, superstar-driven entertainment product. On December 25, 2025, Nike launched a high-impact marketing campaign titled From Anywhere, positioning Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark as a cornerstone of its basketball storytelling. This campaign represents a critical evolution in the branding of female athletes, moving away from niche marketing toward the lifestyle athlete model traditionally reserved for stars like LeBron James or Kevin Durant. The campaign debuted during one of the most competitive broadcast windows of the year, competing for viewership against 5 NBA games and 3 NFL games. This decision underscores a massive confidence in Clark's ability to drive engagement regardless of the surrounding male-dominated sports schedule. The From Anywhere advertisement utilizes a repetitive, confidence-driven narrative that traces Clark's journey from solitary practice in her childhood driveway to the high-stakes environment of professional basketball. The creative direction emphasizes discipline and routine, framing her long-range shooting ability as the result of a rigorous, years-long process rather than mere talent. This focus on the work serves a dual purpose. It humanizes the superstar while reinforcing the Double C signature logo as a symbol of elite performance. The campaign's success is largely attributed to its star-studded celebrity integration, which provides cross-industry validation. The inclusion of Travis Scott, Jason and Travis Kelce, and Michael Che signals a crossover into hip-hop, digital media, and mainstream entertainment. For instance, the inclusion of the Kelce brothers through a simulated clip from their New Heights podcast references a 2024 episode where Clark appeared as a guest, leveraging the existing massive audiences of the NFL's most recognizable media personalities. Similarly, the presence of Travis Scott, who has been a visible supporter since her collegiate days, connects Clark to the streetwear and sneaker culture essential for the commercial success of her upcoming signature shoe line in 2026. The timing of the launch was not accidental. By releasing the ad on Christmas Day, Nike utilized a marquee sports holiday to reintroduce Clark to the public after a 2025 season that was truncated by physical challenges, including quad and leg injuries. The ad served as a return-to-form narrative, signaling that the superstar was back to 100% health and ready to reclaim the spotlight for the 2026 season. The 2025 fiscal year has provided the most stark evidence to date of the earnings gap in women's professional basketball. While Caitlin Clark has set records for total compensation, the vast majority of her income is derived from sources external to the WNBA. This discrepancy has fueled a broader debate regarding revenue sharing, the valuation of the league's media rights, and the overall fairness of the current collective bargaining agreement. In 2025, Clark's total annual income was estimated at $16.1 million, a figure that places her as the 6th highest paid female athlete in the world. However, a granular breakdown reveals that her professional salary constitutes less than 1% of her total earnings. Specifically, her endorsement revenue from partners like Nike, Gatorade, State Farm, Wilson, and Stanley reached $16 million. In contrast, her base WNBA salary for the second year of her rookie contract was $78,066. Even with a $30,000 Commissioner's Cup bonus, an All-Star Game bonus of $2,575, and a playoff run bonus of $3,435, the total WNBA-sourced pay is a fraction of her market value. The fact that endorsement income accounts for 99.3% of Clark's total earnings highlights a systemic issue where the league is unable to capture the market value its marquee players generate on the court. Clark herself has been vocal about this disparity, noting that the bonus for a single mid-season tournament was more lucrative than the payout for winning a WNBA championship, a situation she described as making no sense. A significant portion of Clark's long-term financial upside is tied to her 8-year, $28 million contract with Nike. However, the real economic potential lies in the royalty structure of her signature shoe line, expected to launch in the spring of 2026. Industry analysts project that this line could evolve into a $150 million business, positioning it as one of the top 5 signature franchises in the history of basketball footwear. This projection is supported by the rapid sellout of player-exclusive products. In 2025, Nike released a Caitlin Clark edition of the Kobe v Protro in Indiana Fever colors, which sold out within minutes and saw resale values climb to $400, nearly double the retail price of $190. This secondary market heat is a primary indicator of consumer demand that exceeds current supply, a trend that Nike has managed by taking a 2-year development cycle to ensure the signature launch is perfect. The rise of Caitlin Clark has not been met with universal acclaim within the institutional framework of the WNBA. Instead, it has exposed a cultural rift between the league's veteran establishment and the new wave of market-disrupting talent. This friction has been characterized as a pervasive jealousy among veteran players. This resentment stems from a perception that Clark has burst onto the scene and achieved in a short period what veterans have spent decades pounding the pavement for, without equivalent reward. This dynamic is further complicated by the intersection of race and privilege, with some critics suggesting that Clark's marketability is enhanced by her status as a white athlete in a league that has historically been dominated by black women. This tension manifested in physical confrontations on the court, most notably the June 2024 incident where Chicago skyguard Chennedy Carter fouled Clark away from the ball. These incidents sparked a debate about welcome to the league physicality versus targeted aggression. Critics argue that while veterans should recognize Clark as the tide that lifts all boats, many have instead expressed resentment over the media's hyper-focus on a rookie who they feel hasn't proven herself at the professional level. The 2025 season also saw a breakdown in the relationship between players, coaches, and the officiating core. Many within the league, including Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White, have argued that the WNBA has lost control of the game's physicality. The league has historically marketed itself as being grittier than the NBA, often encouraging officials to let them play. However, as the speed and athleticism of the athletes have increased, this lack of star protection has become a liability. On June 18, 2025, Marina Mabrey body-checked Clark, resulting in technical and flagrant fouls. On the same day, Sophie Cunningham was ejected after a flagrant 2, illustrating an escalation of physical enforcer roles. Coach Stephanie White noted that the game is now fast and players are as athletic as they've ever been, yet the officiating standards have not evolved to match this reality. This lack of control reached a tipping point during the 2025 playoffs, when Minnesota Lynx star Nafisa Collier, who also serves as the vice president of the Players Union, delivered a blistering critique of the league's front office. The tension between the league's administration and its athletes reached a fever pitch in late 2025. Collier's description of the WNBA as having the worst leadership in the world was a definitive moment that signaled an impasse in the negotiations for a new collective bargaining agreement. At the center of the labor dispute is WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. Collier alleged that during a February 2025 meeting, Engelbert suggested that Clark should be grateful for her $16 million in off-court deals because, without the WNBA platform, she wouldn't make anything. This comment was viewed as tone-deaf and negligent, as it seemed to ignore the fact that Clark's presence has been the primary driver for the massive increase in the league's media rights valuation and team attendances. Analysts have argued that Clark is worth 1,000 times her actual salary in terms of franchise value, with the Indiana Fever's valuation rising 273% in a single year, largely due to her impact. By December 2025, the WNBA Players Association had authorized a strike when necessary to ensure that the new CBA reflects the league's newfound profitability. The primary demands of the players include meaningful revenue sharing, moving away from a fixed salary model toward a system where players share in the media and sponsorship windfalls. They are also seeking infrastructure investment, codifying the $50 million investment in charter flights and medical support that was previously treated as an optional perk. Furthermore, they are calling for officiating accountability, establishing a clear system for reviewing referee performance and addressing the DNA of physicality that endangers star athletes. Clark herself has described the current negotiations as the biggest moment in the history of the WNBA, emphasizing that the league cannot afford to mess up this opportunity for systemic change. Despite the internal turmoil, the commercial expansion of the Caitlin Clark brand continues unabated. Her influence has reached beyond North America, with a growing fan base in China and interest from international markets that see her as the face of the new WNBA. Her partnership with a bilingual Chinese YouTuber following the From Anywhere ad drop indicates a strategic move to cultivate a global audience. This international reach is critical for Nike's signature shoe strategy, as the basketball market in China remains a vital pillar of the brand's global revenue. Clark has expressed a pinch-me sentiment regarding her global impact, noting that her goal remains to inspire the next generation to believe they can achieve success from anywhere. The profitability of Clark's signature line is also influenced by broader economic factors. Nike shares saw a significant boost in late 2025 following a trade agreement with Vietnam that reduced tariffs on footwear imports from 46% to 20%. This reduction is particularly impactful for high-volume products like Clark's signature sneakers, as Vietnam produces approximately half of Nike's global inventory. This supply chain efficiency allows Nike to capture a larger margin on the expected $150 million in revenue generated by the signature franchise. Looking ahead, the exclusion of Caitlin Clark from the 2024 Paris Olympic team remains a point of intense retrospective debate. However, rather than being a setback, the snub has been repositioned as a motivational tool for her career. Clark has maintained that she understands the committee's decision but is driven more than ever to lead the 2028 Olympic squad in Los Angeles. The narrative of the 2024 omission was complicated by reports that USA basketball officials were concerned about the reaction of Clark's fan base if she were selected but received limited playing time. Nevertheless, the lack of Clark's presence in Paris was a documented missed opportunity for media visibility, with the women's team drawing significantly fewer reporters than the men's team despite their gold medal success. As the WNBA moves into the 2026 season, the Clark effect is expected to transition from a period of disruption to one of institutional integration. The release of her signature shoe, the resolution of the CBA negotiations, and the continued maturation of her game will determine whether the league can sustain its current growth trajectory or if the critique that the WNBA cannot handle Caitlin Clark remains valid. The data from late 2025 indicates that the WNBA is at a crossroads. The commercial success of individuals like Caitlin Clark is currently outpacing the league's ability to manage its product, protect its stars, and compensate its labor force fairly. The Nike From Anywhere campaign is a masterclass in modern sports branding, but it also serves as a mirror reflecting the inadequacies of the professional environment in which its star operates. To achieve long-term sustainability, the WNBA must address the valuation gap by internalizing the market value created by players who earn the vast majority of their income off the court. It must also resolve the leadership crisis and repair the disconnect between the commissioner's office and the players' union regarding the contribution of its stars. Finally, officiating must be modernized to protect the league's most valuable assets while maintaining the competitive spirit that defines the game. The Clark effect has provided the WNBA with a generational opportunity to become a top-tier global sports league. Whether it can handle the pressure of this transformation remains the defining question of the next decade in women's professional basketball. The transition from a grit-based identity to a global entertainment product requires more than just a superstar. It requires an institutional framework that can support the weight of that stardom. As the league prepares for 2026, all eyes remain on Indiana, on Nike, and on the negotiating table, where the future of the sport is being written. Every metric suggests that the audience for women's basketball is not just growing but evolving. Fans are no longer just supporting a league. They are following individual narratives, purchasing signature products, and demanding a level of professional polish that matches the elite talent on the floor. This shift from regional interest to global commerce is a delicate one. If the league fails to provide a safe and fair environment for its stars, it risks alienating the very fans who have fueled its recent surge. Conversely, if the WNBA can successfully integrate the commercial power of the Clark effect into its core operations, it could set a new standard for women's professional sports worldwide. The significance of the next few years cannot be overstated. With a new media rights deal on the horizon and the eyes of the world on the signature shoe market, the WNBA has the chance to prove it belongs in the same conversation as the world's most successful sports properties. The roadmap is clear, but the execution will require a level of cooperation between the league and its players that has not yet been seen. As 2025 draws to a close, the From Anywhere mantra serves as a reminder that for Caitlin Clark and the WNBA, the potential for success is limitless, provided they can navigate the obstacles currently standing in their way. The rise of the Indiana Fever's valuation by 273% is just one indicator of what is possible. Behind that number are thousands of new season ticket holders, millions of social media interactions, and a cultural relevance that the league has sought for decades. The challenge now is to turn that temporary surge into a permanent foundation. This means addressing the quiet part of the conversation, the internal friction and the resentment, and replacing it with a collective vision of growth. Caitlin Clark has shown that she can perform under the brightest lights and the heaviest pressure. Now the question is whether the institution that surrounds her can do the same. As the 2026 season approaches, the stakes have never been higher. The success of the From Anywhere campaign has set the bar. Now the league must clear it.